Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and of Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. You can broadcast live tonight, of course, on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. And also in on YouTube World, so...
I can't hear you.
I don't know why not.
Is your mic...
Oh, for the love of little green apples. Hi, everyone. I can't go a single weekend without forgetting my microphone. Okay, so hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we're off adventuring into the spaces between. Being broadcast live tonight, of course, on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, and on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, the like, subscribe, the bell if you want to be notified when we're going live again. So yeah, check it out, do it. And no matter how you are listening, make sure you stop in and say hello. If not in one of the chat rooms, send me an email at wildpaisley@gmail.com. That's WILDEPAISLEY @gmail.com. And if you want to support the show, please do so. You can go to etsy.com/shop/Monarch Mountain Studio, or you can go to patreon.com/thespacesbetween. Either way. And being joined tonight by Don.
Me.
Me. Don.
The one that has to remind her to turn her microphone on. Oh, there's my camera.
Yep, but
it's so far away.
Mm-hmm. But
so
not eating ice cream tonight.
I already had my ice cream.
No food on the show. No sake in the studio tonight either.
Yeah.
Just coffee.
Coffee?
I have coffee.
You have... Whatever.
You can microwave the last cup in the pot if you really want to.
Yeah, that sounds like great time.
Hey, this is instant.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you need the caffeine.
Or just to go to bed.
Good night. So, let's see. What else? Oh, check out iLife.com. It's iLife is the official sponsor of Truth Frequency Radio. And some good stuff. Check it out. Read the info on it. And also the call line is open at 213-233-3998 if you want to share your thoughts, your opinions, your ideas, etc., etc. And if you're across the pond in the UK, go dial 44203-393-2871. So yes. And yeah. So as you guys could tell by the show title tonight, it is Dichotomy.
Hey, what?
Dichotomy.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't notice. Okay.
Yeah. So
that's what it says.
Yep, that's what it says. Figured I'd define it and then go from there. So dichotomy is a division or contrast between two things that are or are represented as being opposed or entirely different. Interestingly, the Google dictionary here says the example is a rigid dichotomy between science and mysticism. There's a fair number of people who feel that magic is just unexplained science. And I agree.
Lucky had a keyboard imprint on her forehead last night.
Oh, dear.
She fell asleep on her keyboard.
Lucky, we're not that young anymore. We can't do that and recover the next day. Hey, Jess. So, yeah, just be careful with that whole passing out at the keyboard stuff. And the reason why I wanted to talk about dichotomy is it's actually stemming from the call that I had with Wendy last night. And it really felt like one of the things that she was wanting to know or get more information on was how to bring everybody to the table equally and have everybody agree on the stuff in the world around us and how to fix it. And while on the surface, that really sounds like a noble idea, and it does. Getting everybody to agree on anything sounds like a fabulous idea. But in a way, it really, really isn't. Because part of what makes us stronger as a people is our ability to disagree and have different opinions. It makes us stronger because we have different people coming at different things from often insanely different perspectives. Look at U.S. politics right now. Oof da. To channel my inner upper Midwestern. Oof da, for real. So, what would it take from a pagan perspective, or which perspective, either one, to get everybody to agree on something? Often that would require, forcing them to. And by forcing someone to do something, you're taking away their free will. And in my mind, that is the foundation of a curse, is altering the way someone believes or feels artificially and forcing them into a different way of thinking, or
a different dichotomy,
or a different belief, which may be parallel to what they were believing, or it may be polar opposite. Bomber, just real quick. Yes, I saw your MeWe, and I'm going to talk about that too. You know what? I'm going to stop with the dichotomy bit and address Bomber's question. So last night in chat, Bomber mentioned that someone had vandalized, I believe, her Beltane tree.
Oh.
And had removed some things from the tree, and in the chat room, as she said that. And on the one hand, I'm not entirely sure if you know exactly who it was, or if you just think you do. This is part of the reason why so many of like the standing stones, especially the Nordic standing stones, are not just markers for, to show places on a map or illustrate important places, but often those markers had curses also. And they didn't just curse someone for disturbing the marker, but they would curse their entire family and lineage from their birth, the beginning of their bloodline to the end of their bloodline.
Generational curses.
And in some instances, it was a salting of the earth that bloodline was founded on, so that you would just completely obliterate and wipe their society off the map. And so when we're looking at things in a contemporary setting, when it comes to putting wishes out there or signposts, partly we're taking what we want or what we're desiring or the things that are coming to mind, and we're trying to manifest them in the spiritual world and in this world at the same time using a physical object. And so that physical object often is just a signpost or an illustration of the importance of whatever it was you're trying to achieve. And often there may be intrinsic value to you, or there's value to you because it meant something to you. Maybe it was a ribbon or a clasp or a barrette or something from a family member that you loved, and you're trying to send wishes off to them or love to them into the afterlife. And so there's that kind of value to the thing that you are hanging on your Beltane tree. But other than that, when we put things out, whether on a Beltane tree or a wish tree or a prayer tree or anything like that, we're taking our thoughts and what we want to achieve or overcome or accomplish, and we're putting it out into the universe. We're trying to manifest it into the universe. And often the universe, whether it's our spirit guides, our ancestors, the deities we work with, or just the universe in general, accepts those things because they're kind of offerings that we're putting out there. And they will accept them in ways that either make sense to us, like a bird carrying away a ribbon, or they don't make sense to us, like a neighbor infringing upon our private property and taking something. Either way, there's an argument to be made that the universe or the deities are working through the individual that took that thing to carry it further into the universe to help manifest that thing that you're trying to accomplish. Now, because it does have meaning to you and value to you, and it is a part of you, there is, some potential for some blowback or backlash onto you if they do negative working with that particular thing. But if you're protecting yourself appropriately, that shouldn't be an issue. And when I say protecting yourself appropriately, it means have the crystals and stones around your home, your residence, salt if you need it, and just be aware of what's going on. But as far as things being removed from your Beltane tree or your tree, the Beltane wishes, yeah, that blows. I'm sorry. And honestly, Bomber, this is part of the reason also why I wanted to do the topic tonight with the dichotomy. It may behoove you to reenact or reconnect at Beltane with those same wishes, with similar ribbons or whatever it was you used, to reaffirm your need to be patient and grounded. I see you commented there. And maybe instead of tying them to a tree or doing the tree and something else, maybe on a wreath on your door, either inside or outside, or even both, that might help, because it may be the universe is saying and acting through someone else that it's time to reaffirm those ties, or that need that you have to be patient and grounded. Because there's a lot of stuff out there right now that is withering our patience and flooding our abilities to stay grounded and not lose sight of ourself in our societies. And not just here in the U.S., but around the world, because there's a lot of stuff out there, not just the virus going around, but politics and drama and chaos and mayhem. I really expected aliens in July, though, for 2020 bingo. So, I would just redo the ceremony, Bomber, and do new things. And I would add a third component or another component of protection, of protecting yourself, of protecting your home and your privacy and your space from those who might try to do you harm. And it's something I've seen in different feeds, like on Reddit or Facebook or MeWe or trying to think, Instagram, where one person in the community is pagan and another is ultra conservative, and there's a battle of wills almost between the two parties. The pagan is putting pagan stuff out and the Christian is putting Christian stuff out, and one or the other starts to vandalize the other's property, and it becomes this back and forth, sometimes escalating behaviors to the point where it's becomes really detrimental to not just your mental health and your emotional health, but even your physical health, to not succumb to the damages that person is trying to cause you. I don't know if any of you have heard of Witch Wars. That's something. It's not a video game, I promise. Sounds like it could be, but it's basically different factions of witches, whether they're Gardnerian or not, they're neo or classic, reconstructionist or whatever flavor of witch they are, and they're trying to either become more dominant in a region or what have you, and so they try to start cursing one another, or trying to cast bad spells upon one another, and again it escalates out of control, and it's just quite ridiculous in the way that people behave, because wow, do they ever misbehave. Let's see. Just checking your. Wow. So Bomber in the chat room says she's pretty sure it's the little girl next door. She's quite the brat, saucy with her mother. She'll scream and swear at her, etc. That's a little bit more than saucy, dear. And you want to address it, but not sure how to do that in a way that she will receive. Wow. And she's 10. Yeah, telling her to F-rate the O is probably not quite the right way to approach that with a 10-year-old. Yeah, I would put new ribbons out, probably up a little bit higher. On the one hand, the naughty person in me says put live traps out, mouse traps all over the place, right where she'd walk. But that's not very nice, but very tempting, because I've encountered some of those people.
That's some intent right there.
Yeah, I've been some. I'm not afraid to be intentionally dropping the punishment bomb there. A 10-year-old should know the difference between right and wrong, honestly. It sounds like she's missing something,
like parenting
in her household, her home life. And honestly, children, regardless of who they are, where they're from, what society, etc., crave stability and structure and discipline. And if she is being that outrageously angry and saucy with her mom or her parents, that means she's not getting that discipline and structure somewhere. And yeah, I would say something. I would maybe wait until the little girl is outside with her parent and say, hey, I'm putting these up because you stole my other ones, or they were misplaced and I want to make sure they're really, really special to me. But you could say, and it sounds a little hard, and it is, try to teach her. She probably doesn't value other people's property or space, and you could take her on as a student to try to teach her those things. But in doing that, you'd have to really get her parents' buy-in to discipline her the way she's going to need for the first period of time to teach her the difference between right and wrong. But you could always say, hey, if this happens again, it needs to be paid for out of her allowance, out of her funds, especially if you see that she has the pieces and the ribbons. But honestly, she's probably not going to learn the lesson without it being really brutally in her face. And I would be careful about being too aggressive with that, because if she gets hurt getting something out of your tree on your property, that could have some backlash from her parental units. Instead of disciplining her for being someplace she shouldn't have been, instead you would get in trouble with the neighbors. But yeah, I would definitely say, hey, I had these special things up and they're missing and I'm looking for them and they were very dear to me. Maybe explain to mom. But on the one hand, the parent and teacher in me says this is an opportunity to teach her something. But at the same time, the realist in me says this may not be the mountain you want to, put your flag on. But yeah, I don't know. Don, what do you say? You see troublesome tots all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I know you see them in a retail setting, so you can't really tell them to blank off. Do you talk to the parents at all, or what do you do? You see them all the time in a public setting. In my work, we tell the parent.
I'm not nice to people.
All right.
So there was a couple kids playing around where I was working the other day, and I'm like, they're in my way. They're just playing, and they're just being stupid. And after a little bit, I turned around and I said, really, fellas? Do you got to do that right here? And off they went. So, I'm not nice. Not nice. That's like I told you the other day when I walked into Walmart. I was I was on the phone talking about getting a present for someone, and and they're stopping people, telling them they got to put masks on. So I just walked right past them. Anyhow, a kid walks in behind me and says, I don't know about you getting a present, but you need to put a mask on. What did I do? I piped up really loud and said, go yourself. That's what I do. I mean, don't insinuate yourself into my situations. So, I don't appreciate people who are rude very, very much at all.
Yeah, see, where I work, if someone breaks it, it gets bought, period. And it doesn't matter if the child breaks it or if an adult breaks it. If the adult doesn't pay for the issue, then there are law enforcement's called out.
Yeah, see, but some of the things in the store you work at are like thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Like that piece of amethyst geo that fell off the.
Yeah, I have a ghost story for later after the break. Yeah, later after the break. So maybe Bomber, get a fake camera and put out there. I don't know. It's or put a real one out there.
Honestly, I have to say, and this is just me thinking and me, sometimes you just have to put it out there a couple times before it takes, or at some point you just have to say, you know what, I'm just going to have to accept that, that's the way the universe is going to deal with it. Now, how you look at it from that point on is up to you. So, maybe, I don't know, when would be a good time to redo that, do you think, for Bomber?
You could do it with the new moon. When is the new moon? New moon. Naysay would know, because Naysay knows these things. August 18th is the new moon.
Oh, that's actually just like...
Yeah, it's a couple days. So yeah, I would maybe do a new moon intention setting.
Yeah, read that.
Because in reality, Bomber, your wishes aren't gone.
No.
It's just the physical representation of your wishes. And
so the I know that you mentioned that those were like reminders to you to stay grounded and be patient, and this is actually called a lesson. This is a lesson regarding the little girl, to remind you that you maybe this is me spitballing, that maybe this is a lesson to show you that they are there. You put your intentions there, and now they're the physical representation, as Paisley said, is gone. But you know that that tree is there, and that's where you put those intentions, and you know that that's where the grounding is. It's your tree. It's your grounding tree.
Mm-hmm.
It's so you know they were there. You know it was cast upon the tree in not into the tree, but worked into the tree by the physical representation of the jute and the silver ribbon that you had, and that it's there in the
Mm-hmm.
tree. So it's now it's your tree. It's the tree that's, in my opinion, that's carrying the energy,
Mm-hmm.
because you put
Yeah.
the energy around the tree, it encompassed the tree, and now it's the tree that's important, not so much the ribbon or the jute, because you still walk out that door every day and look at that tree and go, that's where they were. But I think what we might need to do is change our thinking and do it this way and say that's where they are.
Mm-hmm. To where they are, not where they were.
That's where the intent is.
All right. And I'm going to stop you right there because, hey, guess what? It's break time already. We'll be right back, you guys, and we'll pick this up after the break. Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we're off adventuring into the spaces between. And before break, we're talking. Don and I were both talking about an issue that Bomber had brought up. Someone in her immediate vicinity, probably a neighbor girl, stole something out of her yard. On the surface, it sounds like a pretty minor infraction, but and not necessarily pagan, but it was ribbon symbolic of wishes she put out at Beltane. So that is pretty pagan. And it's a symptom, unfortunately, of society right now is a lot of parents just aren't setting the boundaries for their children. They're not giving the structure that kids require, because we desire structure, we desire boundaries, we even desire discipline in some respects. Because if we don't learn and understand the difference between right and wrong. And we can't, society isn't falling back on religion anymore to say, oh, this is right and that's wrong, and you're going to hell because you're doing the wrong things. Well, that's not really something that we're taught in the world. Now, as a pagan, I get it. I know the difference between right and wrong. But then my parents taught me that a long time ago. So, unfortunately, as much as I want you to step up and give her that structure she needs and that discipline she needs, and I don't necessarily want to say this isn't your battle to fight, but in a way, it really isn't. You're not the parent. And any discipline you try to enact or enforce or put into play, either mom's not going to respect it or you're going to be villainized for it. And she's not the victim here. She's the perpetrator, and I'd hate to see her allowed to become the victim, because she's able to get away with stuff because mom's not putting her foot down. So, anyways, but yeah, back to the dichotomy, because yes, this really brings to mind a dichotomy. You can't force your will upon to this individual, as much as I wish you could. And yes, as I mentioned earlier, taking away someone's free will to me is the absolute foundation of a curse. And I know, like with some traditions, white witches and black witches or gray witches and all that stuff. For me, it's not two different paths, white witch and black witch. Nope, it's witchcraft. It's not a good pagan or a bad pagan. It's just paganism. It's two sides of the same coin. There is no left-hand path or right-hand path. It is the path. And it's frustrating to me because so many people villainize the other path, and they assume that the left-hand path or black witchcraft is evil. But I think there's a balance. There's some of both out there. But it is the path, I guess. So when it comes to doing curses or talking about curses, you're just sort of taking away someone's freedom, their ability to make their own decisions. And you can do the same thing with a blessing also. So even though you're not...
Ooh, put a ribbon out there.
Yeah,
specifically for the girl.
Yeah, absolutely, Bomber. Hang a ribbon. You wish for her to find the structure she needs, or in the discipline she needs, before it becomes a permanent. No, don't curse her, Bomber. No cursing. You can say the F-bombs, but that's something else. Because if you, for instance, um, say you want to bless someone with longevity, long life. On the surface, and I've mentioned this before, it sounds like a really good blessing. That's something, yeah, how would you live long and prosper? Have a good life. Live long.
1,000 years later, they're going, what the hell's going on?
Right. Well, what if they turn out they have a debilitating illness? Or they have some, unknown genetic disorder that manifests when they turn 40, and they get stuck, in basically as a paraplegic for the next 30 years. Is that a blessing that you've blessed them with long life, or is that now a curse? I remember my grandfather, actually both my grandfathers had cancer, but one grandfather, he had started off with colon cancer, and it moved into his stomach. He had stomach cancer then, and it spread throughout, and he ended up passing away from it. And it was painful. He was in agony. There was no joy in life. There's no there's no happiness to him at that point, within about 6 months of getting his diagnosis. And that is not someone that, had debilitated him so much, the cancer had eaten his body enough that blessing him with long life would have been a curse. And the day he passed, he's like, why can't I just die? And as heartbreaking as it was to hear, at the same time, I get it. If you are that sick that you just want to die, being blessed with long life isn't going to be really good for you. And then, on the flip side, if you're cursed with health or outliving your enemies, is that really a curse, or is that a blessing to outlive your enemies? So it really, I think, depends upon the wording of whatever it is you're saying and what your true intention is. If you're truly intending harm, even subconsciously, it doesn't matter what words you're saying. It's not really a blessing. So, you can bless with love and light, but I don't know that I would say bless with love and light on this particular case, Bomber. I would say she needs some darkness. She needs to encounter the negativity to understand the repercussions for her actions. Because if you bless someone in this particular situation who doesn't understand discipline, with just, the ability to get away with stuff, is that really a blessing or a curse? I mean, sure, it sounds like a blessing on the surface, but in the long run, it may be more of a curse. So instead, I would say, bless her with
gentle
understanding of the gentle discipline. That's
no, the gentle lessons of proper behavior.
Yeah. Whatever it is, instead of just saying darkness, just bless her with whatever it is that she needs to grow to be a stronger, more balanced person. Because in this instance, darkness may be the part positive. And that's why I have a hard time with the left hand versus right hand, because sometimes we have to have the darkness.
Well, that's why they call it shadow work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just like you sleep better in the dark than you do in the daylight. Sometimes you need the dark. So, just, whatever it is that she needs to grow from this point, that's the blessing. The silver lining on that dark cloud. But I guess, and again, going back to that dichotomy and what, I was talking about at the very, very beginning, having everybody come to the table and agree that we have to do X, Y, and Z to overcome the stuff that's, disturbing our society right now. We can't take away everybody's free will to just agree, because that's not the way we work. And deep down, the subconscious resentment and anger will build and could possibly, blow up in other ways. And so, sure, there's a lot of stuff out in the world right now that's pretty negative. But out of that negativity, there will be some positivity. People will have the opportunity to grow in ways they wouldn't have been able to grow without that that hardship or that strife. They wouldn't become the strong people that they will become without that hardness and strife. That's, from a medical perspective, even, you hear about herd immunity. Well, yes, that's a legitimate thing. When the vast majority of people have an immunity to a thing, then as a group, the society is in theory immune to something. That doesn't mean that people can't get sick. It just means, the group shouldn't have.
The group won't be affected in large.
Yeah, in large, to where the society is devastated because of a mass die-off. But if you get sick occasionally, you're building up your immune system. You're building yourself stronger. And if you didn't have that flu bug occasionally or that cold occasionally, you wouldn't have that immunity to something that may come up later. That's part of the reason why vaccines are in place. I'm not saying they're all good. I'm not saying they're all bad. Do your own research, because I told you to. That's the only thing you ever hear from me. Do your own research. But some things we have to survive in order to be stronger after it. And that's why we had to put down a dog just before our dog Diego. He had become paralyzed, basically from the waist down, was incontinent, and he's an 80-pound dog, a little too heavy for me to pick up and carry up and down the stairs. As much as they may have wanted to, long term that wasn't the right thing. And so we came to the decision to put him to sleep just before the shutdowns happened. And for Mini-Me, we told her he died. He didn't run away. He didn't go to the big farm down the road. We explained that he was no longer living. And I think that's something that we don't do enough actually with our children, is help them understand that loss. And it's not like, oh, he got sick, had to go to the doctor, and he died. That's setting up, a fear of going to the doctor later. You get those fears, just getting, any kind of procedure, or the dentist, same thing. But, teaching our children that loss happens. Sure, it's horrible. Yeah, you betcha. They're going to cry. They're going to be sad. And Mini-Me still cries every so often because she misses him. But because we've already started this conversation with her, even though she's only 6, some of the bigger conversations that we'll have to have with her down the road when her grandparents pass on, I think will be maybe not necessarily easier, but not as hard. So, sure, it's a little pain now in teaching her about that, the death and the dark side of life, or the flip side of life. But, it's, none of us get out of life alive. We all die at some point. And so having the ability to teach our children about death, especially in a way that we can control a little bit, and not just because they're watching video or movies or playing video games or something, and get this unreal perception of death. All I can think of is Grand Theft Auto. Talk about unreal perceptions of death. she understands life and death a little bit more. She knows that we butcher chickens every so often. She doesn't freak out about it. She doesn't really want to participate, and I'm okay with that. But it's natural, I guess. Because I've seen other kids where they're like, well, we don't want to bring our kids over because we know your dog's sick, and we just don't want to have that conversation. It's like,
yeah, that was kind of dumb.
Well, if you don't have that conversation with your kids, who is? How are they going to learn that lesson? How are they going to understand what death is or what major illness is if you don't find the words and take advantage of an opportunity when it's presented to you to teach them about that potential negativity? Jody, absolutely. Jody says it gives them opportunity to learn coping mechanisms to deal with the hard things that they'll experience later in life. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you know what? I'm sorry. Kids these days are dealing with a lot of crap, and a lot of it's hard, and they need some coping skills in a very, very real way. And just like Mini-Me really wants to watch movies all day long. I can only watch cartoons for so long before my brain starts leaking, so we have to turn the TV off.
So Bomber says, have her make her own wish and tie it to her tree.
Yeah. That's a really good idea, Bomber. Excellent solution, excellent way to bring her in and teach her the positive. And maybe what she would wish for. And tell her it has to be a wish from the heart and not a thing, because you can't wish for a new Barbie doll or a new video game, because that's not the way it works. You're wishing for something else, something more emotional. There's something from the heart rather than something physical.
Titan says, Bommy, that's the right way. Give her a chance to understand what she did, just like Justin suggested about the parent with the situation. If that doesn't help, then a large blunt object should work. Wow, it sounded like me.
Yeah. Yeah, or, again, mouse traps at the base of the tree.
BFH.
Yes, BFH. Well, maybe not a BFH. So, yeah, just, we really do have a lot of control over how much darkness we have in our lives and the lessons that we learn from it. I mean, we can't always control the stuff that happens around us or to us. But we do have the ability to control, at least to some extent,
the way it affects us.
The way it affects us and how we respond to it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, I mean, we could respond by treating everything like, it's a nail and we're a hammer, but sometimes the issue is Jell-O, and you can't really run a nail through Jell-O and have it hang on the wall very well. So just, think about it, in the lessons, kind of going off of what we were talking about last night, and, teaching our kiddos about paganism and witchcraft and how to bring that into the daily lessons that our kids are learning as either we're homeschooling or trying to figure out the school districts and schooling them from home. Not that kind of Jell-O, Lucky. If it's, what is that stuff that I shoot something and it acts like a person? What is that stuff?
Ballistic gel?
Yeah, it's not ballistic gel. Thank you. It's Jell-O. I was thinking lime Jell-O, not ballistic gel. Yes, absolutely, Bomber. So,
yes,
totally
exactly. So Bomber says, sometimes we get blinded by the foggy frustration and aren't able to find clarity without a help of a sounding board. That's absolutely correct, and that's a great. Thank you for allowing us to, further that conversation. Mm-hmm. But it's also that foggy frustration that is connecting you to the ribbons and not the tree, and not the intent. So you have to kind of go through that too. But I think that what I said about you wrap the ribbon around the tree, the intent encompassed the tree, and the tree then absorbed or carried the power of the intent and the working into wherever it needs to go. The ribbon becomes passé at that point.
But
it's
it also
just the tool.
creates the opportunity for the neighbor girl to participate.
Well, that's
in the
right.
So
Well, yeah, that's right. But I mean, that's that's the point. That is the whole point.
Yep. And that foggy frustration often creates new inventions or new thought processes that we wouldn't have had without that foggy frustration. And same with the sounding boards. I mean, how many new inventions happen because you're not frustrated?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
the better wheel may not have happened if someone hadn't been frustrated by the old one. So, but yeah, going back to the education bit, when we're trying to teach our kiddos about something, I think we need to remember to teach them that they are 100% responsible for the way they respond to a situation, even though they not be responsible for the situation.
The exact situation.
Yeah.
They're responsible for the cause of the situation, not the situation itself.
Yeah.
The child is still responsible for taking that, but it's through the
it's just
inaction of the parents.
Yeah. So it's kind of moving on from this. It's just a situation in general. Sometimes we don't have control over the situations we're in. I mean, often we aren't. Think about the way other people drive. You have very rarely can you impact the way other people drive.
Oh, you can impact them very well.
I said the way they drive, not impacting their vehicle or them, but the way they drive.
Can't impact them.
Listen to the whole sentence, not just a couple words.
It's only the action words that count.
Anyways,
the other is just a bunch of intentional gobbledygook.
So, but you do have control of the way you drive. Whether it's
that can be very impactful too.
Yeah, I'm gonna impact you.
Whether it's what?
Yes, impact versus effect. Yes. So you can't force someone to be a good driver. You can force them off the road. But that's your response to the way they're driving. Is where I'm going. You cannot make someone be a better driver.
Come on, Karen.
It's Sharon, not Karen.
Sorry, please.
You're fired. Go let the cat in. But kiddos, people in general, and they need to learn this when they're children often, is they need to take responsibility for the way they respond to a situation. And I don't think enough of that's being taught. It's not being taught in society.
Teach them the lesson of Sisyphus.
Most people can't even pronounce Sisyphus, let alone spell it. So they're not going to understand the lesson. They're saying that children, especially under, below 5th grade, are losing 30% of their academic ability.
Because they're not being really taught anything.
Yeah.
You know what they're being taught? They're being taught how to act in public. And that's still barely working.
No, they're not. They're being kept at home.
They are now.
So they're not being taught how to do anything other than play video games and self-entertain. Without melee. So yeah, I guess as we're teaching our kiddos with the school year coming up, or the one we're in, or wherever you're at with the school year, they're not responsible for the stuff going around. They can't change the stuff going around. but they can be responsible for the schoolwork they're doing and their response to it. And you cannot have a PA system like Justin, because Sharon would run you off the road. So, rapidly approaching our top of the hour break. Can you believe it? We've been here for an hour already. You got 20 seconds to have an opinion. Do you have an opinion?
I always have an opinion.
And no, you don't get a PA system. You're loud enough without it.
I have a PA system. It's hooked up to the TV currently. Mostly hooked up to the TV.
All right, guys. So we're about to go to break. If you do want to call in, and I have it's 213-233-3998. Otherwise, I'll play the bowl after the break. We'll see you in a few.
I, O Lord, within the sun, as we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing problem in today's modern media. From the mainstream to YouTube and Google, the information you're looking for is buried by official narratives and propaganda. This is why TFR is 100% uncensored, unregulated, and listener-supported. The shows on TFR are not micromanaged by the station.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we're off adventuring into the spaces between. And if you guys talk about politics in the chat rooms, I'm not going to respond because that's too easy. And There's a lot of it. Anyways, so I promise singing bowl again after the break. So, yeah. So we're going to do that. I love my bowl. Yes, the volume's on. Singing bowls are awesome. I got Buddhas in mine. Boop, boop, boop. So, no worries, Justin. Just giving you no, Nacy, that was not your tinnitus. That was a singing bowl ringing. So there. And Titan says, a bomber situation speaks to the dichotomy thought and practice. Should we always try to build a bridge between the two, thought and practice? Well, yeah. I do believe that's a C, Justin, if I remember right. So yes, you know, I think a lot of us think quite a few things when watching the news, hearing, different things in the news, or reading about different things in the news, or, people in our communities having to deal with different stuff. And I'm using the word stuff pretty loosely. And we have all sorts of thoughts and opinions about those things. And we've gotten to the point where we don't do anything about the stuff. We don't put any physical, okay, so I'm speaking in general terms, we don't put a lot of energy into the physical response to a thing, other than to gripe about it. There is some response, on social media, the keyboard warriors, but that's not really a physical response. It's more an emotional or knee-jerk thing, not really real. And so yeah, we should try to find a way to bridge between the thought or the emotional response to something and the actual physical response to it. We've all seen the stories online or in the news where somebody was hurt, either in an accident or by someone else, or just in a bad situation, and instead of the people around, helping the person who's having an issue, they just take videos and post it on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. And that's not bettering our society. If anything, it's taking away from society. So instead of saying, well, if that was me, this is what I would do. Well, make sure you're stepping up to the plate. If you truly have the ability to step up to the plate to help someone when you see them in a bad situation, do it. Don't just say you're going to do it or say, if the situation was different, this is what I would do. Commit to being that better person and trying to do the thing, whatever it is. And that would be the physical activity as a result of, the thought. And if enough of us do that and make that commitment and take those steps to be the better person, I think a lot of that anger that we see out in the world today wouldn't be running things as much as it is. the anger, the resentment, and that in and of itself is more detrimental to our world than a virus. It is the ultimate virus. The apathy that people are expressing. So don't be apathetic. Be empathetic. Slightly different word. But yeah, there's the dichotomy. And you do need to know when to commit and being able to help someone, and when to phone a friend.
Settle down, Kenny Rogers.
What?
Kenny Rogers.
Why are you saying?
Know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Yeah, basically.
Know when to walk away, know when to run. Damn you, Lucille.
Okay.
Your fault.
Eat your sandwich. I wasn't channeling my inner Kenny Rogers. I don't have that many whiskers.
You don't have that many what?
Whiskers?
Oh my goodness. Whatever. Anyhow.
I don't play poker either. So yeah, if you're not in a safe place, or yeah. So All One, and in the other chat room, says don't create prisons in your own mind. You're living in the moment. Yeah, if you are creating a prison within yourself, saying, if I was able to do this,
you're limiting yourself to your ifs.
Yeah. Don't let if.
Don't if.
There you go. Hey, I like it. Don't if yourself to death. Excellent. And yeah, it's really easy to be apathetic. It takes a lot more work to be empathetic.
I got nothing. If you're waiting for me to say something, I got nothing.
I'm just waiting to see if you're going to respond, but you're like, nope. Hey, now you're on camera again. There's Don.
Okay.
So. Yeah, and don't let your karma run over your dogma. Or someone else's dogma. When I started doing research for the show tonight, I was looking for, what are the components of curses or components of blessings. And, man, there was not a whole lot out there for curses other than in the dichotomy between within paganism or witchcraft. Just kept showing up, comparing Christianity to paganism. So, Bomber wants to know who sings the goddess song in my show. I don't know. So Chris Geo is the one who came up with that music.
Wouldn't surprise me if that was Shuri. She sang on many of his songs.
Yeah, so
Lucky might know.
Lucky might know. Yeah, Don could probably burn a bridge or two.
Oh, I've burned a few.
Probably blow them up.
Just don't be on them when they go.
Ba-dum-bum. So, let's see. So that's really all I had about the dichotomy. Did you have anything
honestly,
else?
I do build bridges. I've built a lot of bridges in my life. I just know which ones to burn down on the way off.
Yeah, and you allow people enough rope to hang themselves off those bridges too.
And then I burn them down.
Mm-hmm.
But I do. I mean, I give many people. I'm very empathetic to people, and I'm very. But when I become apathetic to that person is when the bridge burns.
Yeah, and sometimes you just gotta let the.
Gotta let that energy go.
Yeah, let the energy go. Otherwise, it's just gonna overwhelm you. And so, yeah, that dichotomy, I guess, there is knowing when to let go of the toxicity in your world, and when to try to fix it. A friend of mine, she has an ex who got into some stuff, some illegal stuff, and has been, highly addicted to that stuff now. And it's negatively impacted his ability for rational thought and how to take care of himself and everything else. And she walked away from the situation. She's like, nope, I'm done. I can't fix this. I know I can't fix this.
Is this the guy that shot himself in the foot?
No.
Oh, okay.
But some of her extended family members are still trying to fix him because they think that he is, that all they have to do is, be there for him and fix him. But in the process, they're bringing this toxic person into their world.
Oh.
And it's negatively impacting their family.
This is the newer stuff. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, and, if you're... You have to accept that you can't fix everything, and you can't fix something that doesn't want to be fixed. And if someone is refusing to be fixed, you need to walk away. Jump off the bridge, because they're going to burn it down if you don't. And yeah, it's really unfortunate because this particular situation, it's a sad one, and drugs will do that to certain people. And so yeah, just sometimes you can't fix the solution, or you can't be part of the solution.
You can't be the solution.
Yeah, and that's a hard one, and often we have to learn the hard way that we have to let go and move on, and not try to fix the thing, because sometimes we can't. And yeah, Justin, you're not the only parent that I've heard that from.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Or have encountered that with, because
I hope that is the past tense, though. You said was, so hopefully that's past tense. I know that's a rough one.
Yeah. And yeah, it is hard.
Tight. Guess we have to come up with a new mantra. Always have lumber to build a bridge, but keep a pack of matches in your pocket.
I would almost put that on a bumper sticker.
Wow.
Yeah, that would be bumper sticker worthy. Yep. Always keep a pack of matches in your pocket. And yeah, Nessie, you're absolutely right. It's hard to reach out to someone who is so far gone that they just are not.
Yeah, they don't even know you anymore. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, and you certainly don't know them anymore.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard.
Well, this goes both ways. It really does. It goes good way. It can go good ways and it can go bad ways, and it's a very unfortunate thing. And we were talking about, sometimes the people have to encounter the darkness before they can find their light again, and that's basically what Justin just said.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool, and hopefully he's sticking to it. So
yeah, and honestly,
yeah.
I think we are here to experience a certain amount of darkness.
Yep. Well, if you believe in soul contracts, you did it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's your own learning process. It's your spiritual learning process.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't learn the lesson this time around, you're probably going to have to come back and do it again.
Wow.
But you may come at it from a different angle.
Well, that's what karma means. It means we're here to do what we're here to do. We've already made the contract. Now we have to fulfill it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't fulfill the contract, you don't get paid. The payment is not having to do it again.
Well, some of us take a little bit longer to learn the lesson. Some people have to go to the school of hard knocks before they can learn the lesson.
Oh, that's right.
Which is just frustrating as all get out, because if our kids would just listen to us the first time, they wouldn't have to go to the school of hard knocks. I'm kidding. Oh, well, as I was shaking my fist at the camera now. No, seriously, the school of hard knocks, sometimes, unfortunately, we have to allow our kids to go there, because that's the only way they're going to listen or learn. Because the feel their own ego prevents them from accepting the lessons that mom and dad are trying to teach, or grandma and grandpa, or aunt and uncle, or whomever the teachers, whoever the teachers are in their life, and sometimes they, the people in our life has to go through that darkness, if not to learn for themselves, but maybe someone has to learn from their mistakes, or seeing that situation. So, there's more than one way to get through that karmic debt, or to get through that stuff, whatever it is. And as sad and frustrating as it is to have to deal with that darkness, it's a part of life. Just like death is a part of life. And, sometimes the little lessons have to happen when they're younger. That way they don't have the bigger lessons when they're older. Because if they don't learn the difference between right and wrong when they're still small enough to go stand in the corner or go to their room or whatever discipline, then, there's... when they get older, that lesson comes with a much heavier hand. So, I don't know. We got 9 minutes before the next break already. The last break, I should say. Any thoughts on dichotomy there, Mr. Don, other than what we've talked about already?
No, it's just a matter of finding that balance of, and that's what all this is. That's what shadow work is. That's what light work is. It's finding that balance and to remove the dichotomy of your own your own dichotomy, and become balanced and not have to worry about these issues that are in your life. As we've said, there's very limited things you can do about other people's lives. Sometimes, as was pointed out in chat, sometimes you just have to shut that door and let stuff fall apart. So that's pretty much all you can do.
Yep. So we are, moving on. Tuesday is the new moon coming up, and here this past weekend it was the Lion's Gate, and the new moon showing up in Cancer. Supposedly will give us a little bit of a break from the insane stuff that's going on for the summer. Eclectic clarity. I will talk about shadow work a bit more after the break coming up. I just want to talk about the moon real quick. New moon's excellent time to do intention setting. And, what is it you want to accomplish in the next 4 weeks? Now's a good time to start thinking about that. When you do your intention setting, you can write it down on a piece of paper, burn it in a candle, let that intention go up in smoke and out into the universe. You can do the same thing with bay leaf. Basil's the dog. No, you can write it on a bay leaf and burn it in a candle, same kind of a thing, or fire, whatever it is. Some people will hold a pine cone and set that intention on a pine cone and throw it into a fire. So, whatever it is that works best for you for
your preferred method.
Your preferred method of setting your intentions. New moon's a good time to do it. So, since I know you are all journaling faithfully, what intentions do you want to set for the new moon? Because there's so much is going to happen in the next 5 weeks. Here in the U.S., we're going back to school. Yeah, that'll be fun. We'll see how long that lasts. Well, you and I both know that somebody's going to get sick and they're going to shut schools down again, which is why we're going online this year. So yeah, just what do you want to accomplish? The last little bit of August and first part of September. We're rapidly approaching Samhain, which will be in October. here in the Northern Hemisphere, winter is just lurking around the corner. Someone cursed me with Christmas not too long ago. Not quite ready for that. It's I don't know. It's amazing how quickly the calendar pages turn. Yeah, because school starts for Mini-Me here in just over a week, and I'm not ready for that at all. She's a first grader. That's just all there is to it. First grade. I remember first grade. I was independent. I was home alone in first grade.
I had Miss Hess. Mrs. Hess.
We had Mrs. Smith. And her son's name was Oli.
And they were spies.
They were not spies.
Mrs. Smith was a spy.
No.
She was married to Brad Pitt.
No, she was not. She played a guitar and she was a hippie. Nothing wrong with hippies. Just don't smell like a dirty hippie. I'm just saying. Light your sage. Yeah, saucy. Really, truly Christmas.
They get Christmas in like summer. Maybe it's more like spring.
I don't know that I could do Christmas when it was warm out. I don't know how anybody in a warm area can do that. It just doesn't sound right. So, anyways, yeah, intentions for the coming month. What are you going to do? Do you have any intentions that you want to set for the coming month? I rarely ask you that, so I'm asking you.
You know, we have that meeting coming up next weekend, a weekend from Sunday, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday. It's a weekend from tomorrow.
Yeah, a week from tomorrow.
That'd be good.
Yeah, so we've got an interesting dinner with some interesting folks coming up to see what the future may hold. Without the tarot. I have a new tarot deck I'm going to buy. I'm just telling you right now.
You told me that yesterday.
I'm putting it out there. I'm buying a new tarot deck in the coming month.
Okay.
So, yeah. Nessie is right. Barbecue for Christmas dinner, not such a bad thing.
Oh, that's actually a good idea.
Although we live in North Idaho, we barbecue year. You might be out there in
Oh, I've barbecued in pouring rain,
snow,
just out in the to set up a blue tarp. Barbecue and chicken. Do 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 do. What were you talking about? Gosh.
What?
I don't know. You were talking about something.
I know. I'm a little squirrely. My coffee's gone.
Yeah, yeah. So anyhow, but
and I don't have any sake.
Sake. I need more.
Not my fault you didn't buy more.
I bought as much as I could. Well, no, that's not true. I bought as much as I needed.
Okay, you forgot my need.
No, you just didn't say anything before the bottom of the bottle came up.
Well, the bottom of the bottle came up a lot faster for you than it did for me.
That's because he who controls the bottle.
So, Bomber wants me to use the singing bowl again. So yes, we're about to go to break, so I will play the singing bowl one more time as we're getting ready to go to break. For clarity. And then clarity, we'll talk a little bit about shadow work after the break. And Justin says we need to roast a pig for Christmas. Is that a pit roasting a pig?
It's the only way to do a pig.
Yeah, you could
other than smoke them like the shoulder I did last night.
You could
I
put
smoked
it
that
on
thing
a
for like 7 hours.
spit.
That was awesome.
Turn it. All right.
Hit it.
Hit it. It's not that kind of party. Yep, love the singing bowl. At work, we have so many different singing bowls, and there's a certain selection that I just cannot play because they're the wrong size. Anyways, we're going to break. We'll be right back. Last break of the night.
Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we're off adventuring into the spaces between. And just so you know, Titan has requested another Saturday night math lesson.
Was that? Yeah, Titan did, yeah.
Yeah. That was actually kind of funny. That was a fun show. I had a bunch of grown-up adults doing math on a Saturday night.
Yeah, for
Sober.
2 hours.
For 2 hours, yeah.
Sober.
Yeah, for 2 hours. It was good. It was a good show, actually. So, shadow work, briefly, has to do with the inner self or the shadow self, because often the face or the self we present to the world is only a part of us. We're all onions, and those inner layers
Settle down, Shrek.
are often parts that have been repressed. We reject them, or we don't want to deal with them, and it's just a way to find an enlightened part of ourself. Because there's parts of ourselves that we ignore. Maybe it's more impulsive, maybe it's wounded, or just straight up sad, depressed, angsty, and it's just a way to acknowledge that self. Or shadow work is a way to acknowledge that self or those aspects of ourselves, and learn how to accept
bring balance
it.
To the force.
Yeah, bring balance to the force. Accept that part, because I don't know about y'all, but I know there's parts of me that I'm not as pleased with as other parts, and trying to find that balance between accepting the me that I am deep down and the me that everybody gets to see. There's not always they're not always the same person. I know that as far as embracing myself and becoming and putting my paganism out there more, and admitting to the world that yes, I am a witch. It's really helped me be a more authentic me, and more accept myself more.
Inner peace.
Yeah, it's a lot easier
Inner peace.
to find my inner peace there, Poe. But it's a journey, and that's why journaling is such a good thing, because often as we're going through and getting in touch with those inner parts of ourselves, we need to write them down so we can explore them. How do we feel about those bits and pieces of us? How do we interact with the world by embracing that part of ourselves? I mean, for a lot of witches and pagans, we are in the pagan pantry, the broom closet, however you want to put it, and we don't let that part of ourselves out because our immediate society, like our family, isn't as accepting of those beliefs. I know my extended family is not. I come from a very conservative Christian background, and that's not who I am. Very judgmental conservative Christian background, and allowing me to be me has been freeing, and that's not who they would want me to be. And so it's often shadow work is hard, as painful. I do recommend having someone help you as a guide. It's something that you can do in conjunction with traditional therapy. Let's see. Yeah, so clarity, yeah.
That's what it's for.
Yeah, self-love. That one's a hard one. Accept yourself
Self-acceptance.
before you can love yourself. And once you can love yourself, it's a lot easier to accept that someone else can love you just as you are. And there's stages in there. And it's not linear. Often it's a lot more like a cha-cha. So remember deep cleansing breaths, meditation, and yes, part of the pagan path, your spiritual journey, which is more the witchcraft pagan, I don't know, your spiritual journey, your energetic journey, write it down. Journal everything. Journal your dreams, journal your meditation. If you're doing tarot or the pendulum work, journal that. And just have a general journal. Write things down. I do a lot of audio recording on my phone because I talk to myself a lot, which is probably not a surprise to anybody. So yeah, it's... thank you, Bomber. I would love the link. I would love to hear the show. Anybody who can do the math for me, I'll take it. And remember, as you do your shadow work, our brains, our inner self, hears things in 2 dimensions. It hears the words and it hears the energy behind it. It does not hear, or we do not hear, the emotion behind the words. So if you say something to yourself and you say it in a joking tone of voice, but the words themselves are not very joking, your brain, your psyche is going to hear the words, and
it understands sarcasm.
That's because it's your superpower, Dawn, and you understand sarcasm.
I said, well, yes.
But most of us know our psyche, our inner bits, don't get sarcasm. We hear everything is criticism is criticism. There is no sarcasm. So it's really, really hard to learn how to not say those negative things. Like sometimes I say, woof, I'm old. Well, yeah, I'm not young anymore. But instead it's like, okay, well, that part of me just feels really old today, or a lot older than the rest of me. Just it's wording the things differently so that you internalize them differently. So, yeah. He says, talking to yourself is a common affliction for wives and mothers. Yes. Although I think adults in general talk to themselves, but I talk to myself on a regular basis. And Mini-Me doesn't just talk to herself, she sings to herself a lot. About everything. Literally. Her favorite color, the hat she might have on, the hat she wants to have on, that kind of thing. So, let's see. Yeah. When it comes to shadow work, remember to forgive yourself. And remember that a lot of those thought patterns that you have are a result of the way you were raised and what programming almost that your parents put into you. For instance, a lot of parents tell their kids it's not okay to be gay. I mean, that's just a real obvious one. And but if that's how you feel, if you really do love someone who's the same gender as you are, love is love, and you have to learn how to accept that part of yourself without the internal dialogue in your parental voices, or you're hearing any of the parental voice that's judging you for it. So, but it's hard. Yes. Yeah, eclectic. If you can't love yourself, it's not so much that people can't love you. It's harder to accept that they love you for you.
Let me read what she said.
Okay.
Or what Eclectic said. Yeah, I didn't understand the whole no one will love you if you can't love yourself thing. But now it makes sense. If you can love yourself, then it does make it easier to love others. So learning to love yourself so you can open yourself up for acceptance of others, caring. So
yeah. So yes, you're more willing to love others and be forgiving and loving of others. It's not just love them, but love.
Doing it.
but and accepting that someone else can love you just as you are. I mean, all of us, are our own worst critics. There's not a doggone thing that anybody has ever said to me that I haven't said to myself first, often in multiple times. And so, just letting myself be and accepting myself as I am, that's a journey all by itself. Learning that inner acceptance is hard. And a lot of it just, I may not like all of me, but I can accept all of me, if that makes any sense. And apparently Aussie Tiger needs to put the phone down and stop listening and reverse with 2 hands on the wheel and looking in the mirrors. That, or everybody needs to send Aussie Tiger, a new bumper. So, I don't know. Have you done shadow work, Dawn? Have I asked you that before?
Why do I need to do shadow work?
I said, have you ever? Not that you need to.
I suppose.
No. Did you feel better for it?
Well, when you cut away all the extra attachments and can figure out where your center is, I guess that's pretty much the way to go.
Finding the gooey center of dawn. It's probably sake there. Or coffee.
Coffee and sake. Sake coffee!
And it is hard to find that accepting center of oneself. It just is that gooey inner piece. So yeah. So clarity, yeah, we'll talk about all sorts of things. I do try to have a specific topic for any one show. But we have squirrel moments all over the place. And we often will just circle back around to the initial fully. You're talking about dichotomy. So yeah. Ooh, yes. Very much so.
Or even death, for that matter.
So, Clarity says, because if you love yourself, then maybe you won't be as devastated if someone leaves you, as if a friend leaves or stops being friends with you, etc. Or as Don said, death. Death happens. And, you can't... It is devastating to lose someone to death or lose someone in general. Often it's because our lives are diverting at that point, and they're on a different path. And you're very welcome, Clarity, for answering your questions. Often it is Titan asking the questions. Titan, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I love the questions. It may be a squirrel moment, but I'll happily try to answer. So, yeah. Yes, Bomber, you do need a new ribbon. Something sparkly.
So, you have like...
I know, I have like 10 minutes,
10
and
minutes
I'm
left.
falling asleep because it's been a long week, guys. Summer is winding down here, so the last of the summer vacationers are coming through. In a retail setting, that can be quite the adventure. So, there's something else I was going to talk about with the moon coming up. Oh, moon, August.
Is it a special moon?
Oh, Naysay's on the phone. Naysay, you saved my life. Hold on. Naysay, you're on the air. How you doing?
I am doing as fantastic as Don's wonderful beard is.
Oh.
What's
Is
up?
your beard fantastic tonight, Don?
It's always fantastic. It's got a little oil in it. It smells like Sasquatch, and I'm good to go. The women are flocking.
Is it pepper and...
Nice, because it sounds like they're flocking and heading down south already. I've noticed the last couple weeks here in northern Minnesota.
Yeah, I have that effect
But
on them
as you
too. Sorry.
you have that effect on the women flocking to go down south.
Flocking to get away.
Why would dichotomy?
Yes, isn't that a good word?
As I always refer to a circle or a sphere. If you
Mhm.
draw a circle and you dissect it in half, that being the bridge of Jacob and Moses, or Shalom, the bridge above that is seen, and the bridge below that is unseen. And it is a sphere, and to the left, or depending on your perspective, the left could be positive, the right could be negative, and the center line can be your neutrality or balance on it. Unfortunately, I believe in my experiences with other entities of miraculousness that most times that there are challenges is that we are not understanding the other entity's perspective. So as Bomber is going through the challenges with this neighbor gal, maybe there is an opportunity of where she could share with this individual her perspective and the importance of what these ribbons are to her, because sometimes when we look through our lenses from our experiences, we don't get it that it's important to somebody else, even though we might think it's not important. It's like when the littlest one wants to come and explain something in such detail where you just sit there and you smile, but there's so many other things you would rather be doing than sitting there and listening to all of the details. And then when you realize that it's miraculous to them and it's important to them, and then you can find yourself looking at it through their eyes and then getting caught up in that wonderment of the new and understanding. And so if we can take a moment to check our egos and go around the parameters of the circle while we're looking to the center and hopefully seeing it from another person's angel or angle. Because once we realize we're all in or on the same sphere together, it might help us recognize the entirety of the miracle and not just our own individual's perspective.
Yeah, that checking the ego thing, man, that's often a hard one. We get so wrapped up in our own ego defenses. I think that's why shadow work is so good, because it does break down the ego a bit, hopefully. But it's, yeah, it is hard to check the ego. Whether it's with our own kids, with the people we interact with, or the way Don's driving, that ego is real. Hey, I've seen the way you drive.
Even
don't leave me
like you were
voice.
saying,
when
you were saying earlier, there is nobody that will beat you up more than yourself. And so when I hear people right away start beating themselves up, I'll try to make that connection to them. 100,000 people out there that are just waiting for the moment to beat you up, to be a troll, to cause disruption. So why do we find ourselves causing our own disruption?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know why, but we seem to do it regularly without fail. Because there's a bunch of people out there just waiting to tear us down. We don't have to do their work for them.
It would be easier to just fix yourself, find the balance, and then make it impossible for them. It would be so much easier.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think there's any greater reward in vengeance than living a positive life. Because when somebody wants to tear you down, or if somebody wants to throw their labels at you, then you just be like, oh, you're wrong, I'm Nate.
Yeah.
And so if we get caught up in all the labels, or even when we label ourselves, then we have to deal with the other entity's dictionary
Yes.
of their denotation of the label.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, not only do we find ourselves not on the same page or in the same chapter or in the same book or even in the same section of the library, I don't even think we're in the same cities as each other. And it's
Yes.
the disruption of keeping us apart or keeping the differences in the center of our attention. Then the powers that should not be, they continue to successfully run off of our oscillation back and forth in our own dichotomy.
Yeah.
And with that, it's the end of the show.
Not quite. But yeah.
Oh, my clock's off then.
Your clock is way off. There's like 4 minutes left.
Oh, that's because I'm tired.
Don's rushing things.
Sorry.
Don.
Love you, Naysay.
Well, speaking of time,
Yes.
I love you too, Don, and your beard. Even though I don't get to visually enjoy it, I see it in my mind, and it brings a big smile to my face.
Oh, gee.
But this new moon,
Mhm.
according to my ancestors, is already the beginning of the September month. The wild rice is already at the point of harvesting. And so I would strongly suggest sunrise and sunset. Check out the time of where you're at, because we're getting close to the equinox, and pay attention to how quickly the squirrels get fat, because it'll be precursors on what to expect with the winter.
Mm-hmm. I've not. So we're down a few squirrels in our yard right now.
As a matter of fact, there's a squirrel tail sitting out front.
Yes. But the deer are starting to get fluffy already. Right now, just looking at the forecast, we've got about 3 days of icky hot weather, and then we're looking at a decrease in temperature in the next 6 weeks. And it's, I don't know, it may be an early
Hush.
freeze.
Hush.
I said freeze.
Gosh.
So, which will
And
kill
may you
our-
all find giggles abundantly and find that positive attitude, because that's essential in these crazy times of the new normal. Did we ever find out what the old normal was?
And no, I broke that dryer, so I had to go get a new one. So I don't know what normal is anymore.
All right, well, may you guys have a beautiful evening, and thank you again for the opportunity. Apegish minobimar diziwe rian. Toodles.
Thanks, Naysay.
See you, Naysay.
Have a lovely weekend.
Huh.
Yeah, journaling's good. Naysay, love it when you call in, and someday you're gonna have to tell me what you said at the end of the show, to the end of your comment there, dear. Because yeah. Yeah, D says try to mitigate the weather. Some things. Yeah, I really don't mess with the weather. I just observe it and enjoy it. So yeah. Yeah. So I guess we've got about a minute left. New moon intentions. What is it coming up? Pay attention. Set your intentions. Journal everything. And we are living in some crazy, interesting times, and be patient with yourself, because the crazy, interesting times I think are going to keep on rolling for a while. And take those deep cleansing breaths, meditate, make sure you are fully aware of your center, and just love yourselves. And try to, yeah. So I will try to do more moon stuff next weekend, Clarity, because yes, I think that's good. So, on that note, I guess merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. And if you have show ideas, send me an email at wildpaisley@gmail.com. Otherwise, we will see you next weekend right here on The Spaces Between with Paisley Wild. Thanks for joining tonight, guys.
Good night. I still have a podcast to do.
Lord,
Amen.
within the sun, as we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done.